What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily Grind Fantasy NBA live stream for this 6-game slate. Cannot wait to break it down, everybody. We have some slate-breaking injury news, and the NBA thumbnail curse is in full effect. DeRozan rolled out and was our thumbnail, and also the thumbnail for this live stream. Unfortunately, can't play him anymore, but we'll look to some other Spurs to be playing on the slate, as well as TJ's Boston Celtics. Both of our favorite teams, ironically, so this will be a fun slate. We get to watch our favorite teams because they're going to be in very bad situations tonight. We'll go ahead and just start out by talking about the Boston Celtics, though. Literally, their entire team is out. Not kidding. I think there's 7 to 8 available. TJ, how many are available? Eight. All right, TJ, let's hear it. What are your thoughts here on the Boston Celtics?
So I kind of want to touch base between the situation that we had last night with the Wizards, Matt, opposed to the situation tonight with the Celtics.
Okay.
I already saw some comments in the chat about bashing the guards that we gave out as advice.
What, the ones that were playing 30-plus minutes at 3K?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So a lot of those guys did hit value. Some of them obviously didn't for the Wizards. And the Wizards had 12 guys yesterday that did log minutes. Now, the difference between the Wizards situation, the Celtics situation, are the Wizards still had able bodies on their roster. Now, Westbrook and Beal obviously being out means that 65 to 70% of the usage got dispersed between those guys that were still on the floor. Now, with the Celtics, they only have 8 eligible guys to play in this game. So you need to think that at least potentially 5 of these guys could play 34 to 35 plus minutes. So before everybody's like, oh, yeah, this is like the Wizards yesterday, this is a completely different situation.
Avdija got like 11 times value, by the way.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, Jerome Robinson hit 7 times value.
Yeah, pick the right ones.
Rue hit value. Nato hit value. So I don't really understand it. But
unless you took Thomas Bryant. I mean, that was a bad call by me, right?
Right.
Snapped his ACL.
So with that being said, before it's like, oh, this is the Wizards like yesterday, completely different situation. These Celtics, there's only 8 guys that can play, so they need to log minutes. So if people are going to be in the chat and talk about only playing like 2 Celtics, like that's entirely your prerogative, but I can tell you right now, I can confidently say you will not cash. So for me, Matt, when I'm looking at the Celtics situation, okay. Just kidding. The Celtics and Miami Heat game just got postponed.
Just got postponed. Look at that. Live updates. Like I said, this is a live update channel. This is not a DFS breakdown channel.
My rant, forget about it, because it doesn't matter now. But I saw some people in there that were saying they were only going to play 2 Celtics, and I just think that's unfathomable. But, yep, so now a Heat player just had an inconclusive test, and the team is not required 8 players to proceed with the game tonight due to contact tracing. So, scratch the Celtics and Heat off the slate, Matt. Forget about talking about it. My rant's done. My rage is gone.
Sorry you don't get to see your Celtics play tonight. That was going to be a very good matchup.
I will take that, honestly, as a postponement.
All right. Well, I guess our focus shifts to my Spurs with Aldridge out. Also, we got to talk about Kyrie Irving. I think he's ruled out officially. We can talk about Kevin Durant, but let's go ahead and start about the chalk here. Now that we do have, it's really aggravating too, because I just updated the cheat sheet like 5 minutes before with all the ownership on the Celtics. I was really liking some of their players for GPP as well. Taco Fall was on there. Anyway, we'll stop talking about it. San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk about them right now. They are without Aldridge. I have the chart up in front of me. The last 2 seasons gives us a good sample size on what we're looking at. Let's actually pull that up on my screen. We have DeJounte Murray, 1.25 fantasy points per minute, 25.6% usage. LaMarcus Aldridge, a 28.3% usage, 1.22 fantasy points per minute. Now, the only thing that scares me, those are the 2 guys that benefit the most, I'd say, TJ. The one thing that scares me about Aldridge is he's only getting 28 minutes, not to mention he's not had the kind of season that we were expecting from a starting center on the Spurs. I hope he gets better throughout the season, but right now he's not looking good. He's looking on his way out of the NBA, to be completely honest. DeJounte Murray, 33 minutes has been looking the exact opposite, been looking phenomenal. So I think if I'm going to be bullish on anybody here, it's going to be DeJounte Murray. 33 minutes. I expect his ownership's only going to be even higher now. He was one of the chalkiest guys on the slate at 44.7%, 5.7 point per dollar value, and we really don't know what the dynamic's going to look with the rest of these guards. Keldon Johnson's in play. Lonnie Walker is really cheap. Even Rudy Gay playing 25 minutes, probably more more GBP for sure. But what are your thoughts? What is your overall take here on this team, TJ? Keep in mind, this is the highest over-under, second highest over-under on the slate.
Yeah, so another back-to-back, Minnesota and the Spurs playing once again. Yeah, with DeRozan being out, DeJounte is a cash lock. I had him in my 5 Celtic lineup that I have to now figure out a different direction. But yeah, 3.5% usage bump with DeRozan and Derek White off the floor. Matt over the last 2 years, 1.3 fantasy point per minute, like you talked about. I have him pegged for 44.4 DraftKings points. So I really like DeJounte Murray. He'll probably be the chalkiest guy in the slate now with all that Celtics and Heat, or with the Celtics and Heat being postponed. So I really love him. He'll be a staple for me in cash. I think my next favorite play is probably going to be Keldon Johnson, just because I think his minutes are going to be the most secure. Now, he doesn't necessarily pop on the sheet map, but the sample size was very minimal. And I do like what I've seen from him,
just a ton of minutes overall.
So, right. Yeah, I think he's going to log some minutes. He's projected at 34. I think that's a pretty safe number. So I do like Keldon Johnson. Yeah, Aldridge looks good on the sheet. And with Cat being out, I think that kind of helps his matchup a little bit because he's going to see Naz Reid or Ed Davis. So I don't hate him at 6,500. Even at the 28 or 29 minutes, Matt, I have him pegged for 37 DraftKings points, so should be able to get you value. But I still think the Spurs probably become the chalkiest team on the slate now with the Celtics being removed. That would be my guess. I need to run numbers for Minnesota because Cat got ruled out. But like Patty Mills, I think is in play at 4,800. Devin Vassell is an interesting piece at 3,100, projected at 24 minutes. He pops on the sheet. I have him pegged for 19.3 DraftKings points. He's a 0.81 fantasy point per minute. Not a high usage guy, but the opportunity should be there if the minutes are there. Lonnie Walker, 31 minutes. So yeah, I think the Spurs are going to be my go-to. I'll probably be locking in DeJounte and Keldon, and I'm a little skeptical of LMA, but I could see myself having all 3 of them in cash now, honestly.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with filling the rest of our roster, our final cash roster, whatever it may be, with the remaining Spurs that you have that you're looking at. Lonnie Walker definitely in play. All the players that you just talked about in play, because DeMar DeRozan is the highest usage guy on the team. When you take him off the court, it's just going to benefit everybody, including his high minutes. He played 42 minutes last night. Yes, it was an OT game, but again, you just got to think those 30, 35 plus minutes got to go to somewhere, especially to most of these guards. Keldon Johnson physically can't play any more minutes, so you got to think somebody like Rudy Gay would benefit. Lonnie Walker would benefit a little bit more. He only played 28 minutes last night, TJ. He got bumped up to 30. I think that's a little conservative. I think you could see Lonnie Walker. I think you could easily see 30 plus, 32, 34 minutes. So I like all the guard play, and everybody's favorite player to talk about this season is Patrick Mills. At $4,800, makes for an intriguing GPP target. 26 minutes projected here. So definitely love the Spurs. And I think that you can fill out a nice cash lineup starting with the Spurs and starting with DeJounte Murray. He's the only cash lock I have right now. Again, I have to see what the ownership looks like, and we'll get updated ownership here throughout the stream. But TJ, I'm starting my builds with DeJounte Murray tonight, 100%.
I agree with you.
All right. I guess next we can go to some of these other couple players. Individually, it's kind of spaced throughout the rest of the NBA. Like we have Siakam showing high ownership at 26.7%. Kelly Oubre showing ownership. Again, the Boston Celtics kind of ruined the slate because we were all prepared to talk about them. What are your thoughts here? Where should we go?
Why do I have Naz Reid at 200? Oh, that's not a thing. So I think we should talk about individual players now. So yeah, with Golden State, it's pretty big just because Wiggins is still questionable. So we need to wait and monitor that. But unfortunately, they are the late game on the slate, so that stinks. Because if he's out, like Oubre, depending on who starts at the 2, I think that's if they start Steph and Damian Lee. I don't know who's been subbing in directly for Wiggins this year. I don't have that in front of me, but. All right, so they have no plans to pause this season despite
What?
So no plans. The NBA just said that they have no plans to because everybody's COVID's everywhere. So yeah, I think we need to keep an eye on Wiggins still because I think that's big because if he's out, that's 22% usage going to some of these guys. I think Oubre would become a great play at 5K. In terms of ownership, Matt, it is tough to say where the ownership is going to disperse to just because this game just got postponed. Again, I think it would go to the Spurs. I think we can go to Brooklyn next if we want to talk about specific teams. because obviously Kyrie has been deemed out, and we already know that Spencer Dinwiddie is out for the year. So if you take Kyrie and Dinwiddie off the floor this year, unfortunately, when it comes to Kevin Durant at 9,200, he only has a 19-minute sample size over the last 2 years because he obviously missed last year. So it is pretty tough to gauge the usage and the fantasy point per minute for Kevin Durant, but I can confidently say in terms of cash that I'll be locking him in at 9,200 with Kyrie off the floor. So if I'm looking at other pieces, a guy like LeVert obviously got priced up because of his play with KD and Kyrie off the floor. But even with Kyrie just off the floor, projected at 32 minutes, he's a 4.8%. He gets a 4.8% usage bump, Matt. He's a 1.43 fantasy point per minute and a 36% usage rate. So I have him pegged at 47.9, 48 DraftKings points. So I kind of do like him still. I don't think he's going to carry the ownership. So if his ownership's low, I really like him for tournaments. We'll have to wait and see. You know, maybe his ownership gets bumped up a little bit because people aren't going to be playing Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see there. But in terms of Brooklyn, I think those are the only two guys that I'd be looking at for cash. TLC, I think, is a little bit interesting at 3,500, projected at 20 minutes. He gets a 3% usage bump with KD off the floor. He's a 0.85 fantasy point per minute. Chioza should see some minutes now at 3K. I think he makes for an intriguing tournament option as a punt. But yeah, I think KD is going to most likely be a lock for me in cash at 9,200. I have interest in LeVert. Again, I want to wait and see what that starting lineup's going to look like.
I was about to say, I think that's
I
huge.
don't know if they're going to start. If they start LeVert again with KD, I really like both of them. But we got to wait and see.
I think I personally like LeVert even more if he's coming off the bench. He's going to have to get minutes. I mean, they're going to stagger those minutes, and Kevin Durant takes all the usage. We know that. I absolutely love Kevin Durant tonight. Playing OKC, if you believe in narratives. 224 over under really isn't that bad when you compare him to the rest of the slate. They're still expected to put up 116 points, so that's actually higher than I thought. I think that's just because Kevin Durant is back. But yeah, if you're asking me for my opinion, TJ, I really do like Kevin Durant and only LeVert, and even LeVert I think is more of a GPP option. I'm locking in Kevin Durant right now. I think confidently can say that. I think his price tag is just way too cheap at $9,200. I think you can get a 10K plus player here potentially at 9.2K. And again, the pace really isn't that bad. I expected it to be lower.
Yeah, no, Nets are at a 116 team total over under, which is third highest on the slate. So
right there in the middle.
I like that. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the. Do you want to move on to the Warriors and talk about what we could be looking at for the whole Wiggins thing? I guess let's back up, TJ, because we still have injury news there and Golden State. If Wiggins, I guess with the injury news, the pending injury news with Wiggins, does that? Should you really, wait till that last game to make any late night swaps? Like, should you focus your attention on that last game or no? It's a high over under. That's the only reason I say that.
The only reason I would do so is if I think that a value guy could appear. And I don't necessarily know if that would be the case.
Yeah.
In this situation, I think like a guy like Pascal could potentially see some more minutes, but he's pegged at 19. I could see him maybe getting like 24 or 25 if Wiggins is out. So I just don't really know if any of these value guys for Golden State, because all the value from the Celtics is now gone. Say it again.
Wiggins just plays a lot of minutes. That's the only thing.
Yeah, he's a guy that plays 35 minutes a night if the game is consistent, or if the game is competitive, rather.
Right.
So I am looking at Wiggins and JTA off the floor for Golden State this year, and Steph Curry's a 1.68 fantasy point per minute. Again, that's only an 80-minute sample size. Pascal's a 1.1. I'm looking at usage bumps as well. You know what, Matt? Why don't I just go ahead and do this real quick?
I'll do it with you.
And see what we get when we have said guys off the floor. I want to see Pascal, and I want to see, obviously, Steph, and I want to see what Oubre looks like. Although I'm not, don't love Oubre and what he's done, but yeah, so Steph actually I would have at 57.86 fantasy points, our DraftKings points, and that's without a minute bump. So that's him at 35. Oubre, if he were to play 28 minutes, if Oubre were to play 28 minutes with Wiggins off the floor, he gets a 2.5% usage bump. He's a 1.19 fantasy point per minute and a 25% usage rate. Now, that's only with 35 minutes of Draymond Green. So I think if Wiggins is out, I would have interest in Oubre. That's just my personal opinion. And then Pascal, let's say Pascal's currently pegged at 19 minutes. If he got 25 minutes because Wiggins is out, I would have him pegged at 27 DraftKings points. So I think Oubre and Pascal potentially come into the mix here if Wiggins does sit. And if Oubre is projected at 28, let's say he gets 32 if Wiggins is out, he'd be pegged at 39 DraftKings points. So I think there is some value there if Wiggins is sitting. It's not like one of these, Kawhi, Paul George, Clipper situations where like we need to build our whole lineup around one of those guys potentially being out. It's just Andrew Wiggins. So I think you can have some flexibility here if they do get, if Wiggins is out, but I don't think people are going to build around him potentially being out and being like, man, I really need to pivot to Oubre or Pascal if he is gone.
Right. We got some updated ownerships, TJ. So now we have a better direction here, and
that was quick.
They're everything that we thought it was going to be. So DeJounte Murray still up there, the highest owned. Kevin Durant jumped from literally 8% owned to 28.5% owned. He is the second highest in the slate. So I think that was a really good job from us talking over Durant being a chalky player. Keldon Johnson, 27.9%. So he's actually right up there too, TJ. So it's going to be the Spurs chalk night. Siakam, 26.6. Lonnie Walker, 24.9. Kelly Oubre, we just talked about him, 23.5% for all the reasons you just said. And your favorite player probably in the NBA, Draymond Green at $4,900 is 22.3% owned. So he's up there.
Have fun with Draymond Green. Okay.
I used to be in love with Draymond Green. He's just not that good anymore.
I don't know if I'd hate him if Wiggins is out. I mean, it's only a 35-minute sample size. He's a 0.83 fantasy point per minute. I mean,
he's one of those few players that does better with superstars.
If he took the backpack off when he shot, I think he might be a little better. But for some reason, he always wears it, and he's got so many books in there that I just think it weighs him down.
Oh, we're getting that glitch in Streamlabs where all the subscriptions come in at one time. So,
enjoy them, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, they're there.
So,
yeah, sorry, guys.
So yeah, man, I think this might have to be. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where the value is now. I think Devin Vassell is probably going to be a value play. Am I pronouncing his last name correctly? Is it Vassell? It's Vassell. Yeah. Okay. So there's two S's. I think Devin Vassell probably becomes one of the chalkier cheap options at 3,100, just because he's going to see some minutes, and there's really nowhere else to turn now with everybody from the Celtics being out. I mean, we can take it to Denver and the Knicks if you want to. I think there's a decent option there. I mean, Jokic was carrying some really high ownership, and I think he was going to be super chalky if the Celtics news or the Celtics game played. But I think with him, with the Celtics game being postponed against Miami, I think it makes it harder to get up for a guy like Nikola Jokic. And I think you're going to see a lot more middle of the road type lineups. I still think he's in a fantastic spot against the Knicks. And only 11K, triple-double monster. Knicks are 21st against opposing centers. So good matchup against Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, etc. down low for Jokic. So I really like him at 11K. I just don't know if he's viable now for cash with basically being no value plays.
Reminds me of Giannis whenever Giannis is on the slate. And there's also some other good pay-up options. He's only 12.8% owned right now.
Yeah. Will Barton's interesting at 5,800 with Michael Porter being off the floor. JaMychal Green, I still like at 4,300. I think he's a pretty good value play. But besides that, I really don't have any interest here. But on the Knicks side, I really like what I've seen from Austin Rivers. He's gotten the price bump to 4,900. I was kind of hoping he was going to be around 4,300 again. Yeah, he's been playing good. He's been playing good minutes, and that's with Alec Burks off the floor though. So I think when Burks comes back, his minutes are gonna come a little bit down back to earth. So for some reason I thought Austin Rivers was 4,300 again, but he's 4,900. So I'm kind of meh on him. But I don't hate him. He's a 5'8" on the sheet, Matt. I think he's a decent tournament play, but in terms of cash, no. So yeah, tonight's just going to be a really tough night to find value. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Of course, Roto still has the Celtics game on here, so I can't really do much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, Knicks, they do play a lot of minutes. Somebody put that in the chat. I completely agree with you. Julius Randle plays 38 minutes. I feel like that's his average at this point in the season. It's crazy.
It's absurd.
And you're right. Minutes do equal opportunity and equal DraftKings points. Chat, thank you for bringing that up. One of my favorite points. What's up?
I was going to say him and RJ Barrett both average like 39 minutes on the year. It's crazy. Tibbs is just running them into the ground.
Yeah, Tibbs knows how to do
kids.
it.
They're fine.
Yeah,
they're fine.
Tibbs does that with every team he has. But yeah, I don't think any one of these players are necessarily viable in cash. I think that they all have high minutes, therefore good tournament plays. I definitely don't have any interest in Jokic. Makes for really, really contrarian plays. $11,000 is very expensive for him, but we know what he can do. I mean, he got 63 points, 70 points not too long ago. You only have to get to 55 to equal that price tag at 11K. And we have to keep in mind that Michael Porter Jr. is out for these guys. This is a lower over-under. That's the only hesitation I have. So probably the only guy that I'm looking at from Denver is Jokic. Nobody else I have really that much interest in. My sole attention is going to be focused on these last two games with Toronto, Golden State. In terms of pace, if I'm looking for those last minute slots, Toronto is another team I want to talk about. Siakam, his price tag is still intriguing. $7,800, 26.6%. Just seems to fit those builds, TJ. I think he's just a plug and play. He's going to be one of those spots that a lot of people are going to fall onto. Plays a lot of minutes that we just talked about, 36 minutes. I know you hate his spin move, but he's still a good player.
Effective.
Kyle Lowry, 36 minutes as well. Is fully rested. He was out last game. So definitely look for him to be getting a full amount of minutes. Van Vliet's still up there. All the rest of these guys are strictly GPP options, but Siakam is probably my one player that I'm looking at here from this roster. TJ, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. The Siakam spin move has been paying off great the last couple of games against Phoenix and Sacramento, and he gets another good matchup against a team that struggles against bigs. Golden State currently 30th against forward/center. So yeah, it's a really good matchup for Siakam. He's way cheaper than Fred VanVleet and Lowry. So if I'm choosing between those three, I would probably go Siakam if I am looking for cash. I think if I'm going for tournaments, I'd probably still go to VanVleet at 8,500. But yeah, I think Siakam would probably be one guy that I could see myself as a last piece in cash because I do like the matchup.
Yeah.
And the minutes are always going to be there for those three guys.
And I feel like VanVleet is safe at this point, no matter what price tag he's had. He's been doing phenomenal to start this season. What a turn he's taken for sure. All right, we have 280 people in here. I didn't expect that. You guys, this is NFL Sunday, so if you guys could show us some support real quick, hit that like button. Gets us to the top of the search results. That's how the YouTube formula kind of works. Done a lot of research myself on it. So if you guys could help us out, hit that like button, get us to the top, and hopefully we can break that 380 viewer mark. Don't expect to do it today. Hopefully next weekend we can do it, just because the NFL is going on right now. But yeah, if you guys could do that, that would be great. And you know what? If we actually get to 380 viewers, I will go ahead and give away another $25. Just why the heck not? I'll do that whenever we hit that mark. But yeah, let's go ahead. I feel like we talked about everybody. We're getting a lot of questions on Rudy Gay. So do you want to revisit the Spurs just because we're getting a lot of new viewers in here? Yeah, the Spurs, guys. A lot of chalk here. Very high over-under. DeJounte Murray is underpriced regardless. $6,800. 46% owned. Is the highest owned on the slate. And rightfully so. Keldon Johnson, another player that's going to get a tremendous amount of minutes. You're taking a guard away with a enormous amount of usage in DeRozan, the highest on the team. And he's still playing 33 minutes. Keldon Johnson is 27.9% owned, is also fairly chalky. Lonnie Walker is a good value play, quote unquote, at $4,600. I consider values anything under $5,000. 24.9% owned. And then Rudy Gay, the only hesitation I have about him, 25 minutes. I know firsthand he's a very effective player when given minutes. So he does have a high ceiling. The only thing that scares me are his minutes. 19.7% owned, definitely more tournament worthy, but I don't consider him for cash. I'm going to pick Lonnie Walker over Rudy Gay if I'm picking a last spot. And then yes, LaMarcus Aldridge is in play, but only expected to get 28 minutes. Okay, 18.9%, definitely more of a tournament play. Good matchup too, especially if Cat does sit. I don't know if we got official news if he is sitting or not.
Cat's out.
Cat's out. Got it. Out. So good matchup for him. High over under for all these guys. I don't hate any one of these plays. Vassell in there, $3,100 projected at 23 minutes right now. Don't hate him. And then Patrick Mills for tournaments as well. Don't hate any one of these players. If you fall in any one of these Spurs, I can get behind it in cash as the last spot. TJ, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think the Spurs are going to be the team that people are going to target, and rightfully so, with a high usage and minute guy like DeRozan being ruled out. So that's where I'm going, Matt. I think I'm gonna play Vassell in my main one lineup just because I do want some value there, and I think he gets the opportunity with obviously DeRozan being out, and I like what I see on the sheet currently when you input the stats at a 0.81 fantasy point per minute at 24 minutes and at $3,100. It just makes sense to me to play him. I think he's my favorite cheap option currently. I don't really see anybody else that tickles my fancy in terms of cheap guys. Trying to find some. He's 4,900. I'm talking like cheaper than. I mean, Ed Davis is Ed Davis is 3,300.
No,
You know,
I
with
agree
Cat
with
off,
that.
there was the game where Ed Davis started against Denver, and then just got absolutely roasted on defense by Jokic, and then he got benched. And then those next two games against Denver and Portland, he didn't see the minutes. If he was starting, I think I'd like Ed Davis as a good cheaper option. I'm just trying to find some value for everybody because this is going to be tough. I think TLC is decent value at 3,500 with Kyrie off. Yeah, I don't know. The Spurs are where I'm looking at.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's a safe play.
It's just high upside too. Minutes with upside and the over under, and then you have the additional value added to that. Take off DeRozan off the floor. It's just you have a lot of upside here. 300 viewers, guys. Thank you. If you could do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also smash that like button, guys. Trying to get to 380. We broke the 380 mark last weekend, so we're gonna try to do that 2 weekends in a row now, breaking our own record. All right, let's go ahead, TJ, and talk about our cash plays, and then even though we basically just talked about it, and then we'll go ahead talk about our GPP options, and then we will go to Q&As.
Let's do it.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I'm starting my cash builds. I get 4 away on stream. If I had to right now, it's going to be DeJounte Murray, Kevin Durant, Keldon Johnson, and I will go with Lonnie Walker as my last guy. 3 Spurs, and I can confidently say that. I'm going to stack up on the usage with the guards. You're going to have to pay down somewhere. That's my only hesitation. So Draymond Green might be my last spot. I know TJ hates that, but I do like Draymond Green with a lot of minutes, and you get that additional benefit if Wiggins does sit out. More usage to go around. TJ, and again, I'm not locking him in. I'm saying my 4 before that were the 3 Spurs plus Kevin Durant. TJ, who are your 4?
My 4 are going to be 75% of yours. So I think DeJounte Murray and KD are absolute locks for me. Keldon Johnson, again, at 6,500 is in a fantastic spot. And then I'm going to go with Devin Vassell. I think that would be my 4th. I think he offers some value at 3,100. Yeah, well, sans Kevin Durant. But yeah, I think those are going to be my 4. Yeah. If I were to make a cash score right now. So
we just said 4 Spurs between the two of us. So again, you can't stack up the 4 in cash. You can actually get away with that again because of the over-under and the amount of value on that team. All right, GPPs. TJ, we're getting a lot of questions about the Lakers.
What about the Wizards yesterday?
Did anybody ask that? Oh, yeah. I mean, if you pick the right ones, that's for sure. Because again, two of the I don't know 5 players that we were talking about on stream actually slammed value. They're just the 2 that weren't chalky, so it just hurt a lot of people. I know on our Patreon, first of all, I put Avdija as one of our favorite GPP options, and he was one of the best players on the team. So did phenomenal. I personally didn't have him in my small GPP, so I'm right there with you guys. But I wasn't mad about the overall production. Did not have Bryant, thankfully. I know a lot of you did. I'm sorry. That's not our fault, though.
I don't even think I said Thomas Bryant.
Thomas Bryant was in a good spot regardless.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, his ACL wasn't. All right. GPP. Let's go ahead and talk about GPPs. TJ, I want you to give some GPP plays. Where are you looking if you're thinking GPP?
So, I mean, if I'm looking at that Spurs game and really attacking them in cash, I think coming back with some of those guys in tournaments would be a really good strategy. We've seen Juancho Hernan-Gomez with Cat out be really good, I guess I would use for Minnesota. We saw him have that absolute ceiling game against Denver where he went for 46.5 DraftKings points. But the next night against Portland, or 2 nights after, rather, 22 DraftKings points. So I think he's a decent cash option, or tournament option at 4,800. I think running it back, though, with a D'Lo or a Malik Beasley at low ownership, I think I'd rather go Malik at 6,100 is somewhere that I think I would go for tournaments. Steph, if he's going to show south of
20.
If Seth is going to be lower than 20% owned in tournaments, I really like him at 10-1. Obviously, Jokic at 11K, I think his ownership is going to fall by the wayside because it's going to be so tough to conduct your lineups and be able to spend up for him and still have a successful build, in my opinion. Karis LeVert at 7,900. I don't think his ownership is going to be high. I really like him with Kyrie off the floor. I think whether he starts or doesn't start, that's fine with me. The only game I'm really not interested in is like that Laker-Houston game. Like, when LeBron and AD are healthy, I kind of just ignore the Lakers, honestly.
I agree with you.
I like
Unless
having
the Wizards.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the ball, with Harden, Christian Wood, and John Wall, like all those guys have 25+% usage rates. So we're not seeing that same James Harden 35 to 40% usage rate with John Wall on the floor and Christian Wood. So I don't really have any interest in those Houston guys either. And they're all carrying low ownership. So I guess I wouldn't mind taking stabs at them. James Harden at 10-8, we haven't seen really a fantastic game from him, but except for opening night against Portland when, they were depleted. So I think there's some decent tournament values there, but I think my favorites are going to be LeVert, Steph, depending on his ownership, Kelly Oubre again at 5K. If Wiggins is out, I really like him. And then some of those Minnesota guys and Malik Beasley and D'Lo.
340 viewers was the most we had last night. So let's see if we can break it, guys. 380 is the most we had all time. Hopefully we can break the 380 mark. If you guys could do us one more favor here, smash that like button for everybody joining. Don't leave the live stream, please. And we're gonna break down our favorite GPPs, and then we'll go ahead and get to Q&A. You guys might get to witness history here pretty soon for the second weekend in a row. Completely agree with everything you just said, TJ. I also want to add David Nwaba does benefit the most with the current injuries in terms of minutes. Okay, so House is out. So Nwaba, the next guy up. If you guys are looking for another value guy, Jason Tatum's positive COVID-19 test confirmed. Okay.
Oh, Tatum, why?
Sorry about that, TJ. So yeah, a last minute value piece if you're looking for low ownership, 7.9%. Don't hate him. He's not a good fantasy point per minute player, but it's one of those last plays. If you guys are looking to try to slam in some Jokic or Steph studs into your lineup. Yeah, GPP, I completely agree with you on Karis LeVert. I love the Minnesota guys, and I love the Toronto guys. They always break the slate, it seems like. Fred VanVleet always having a ceiling game, it feels like every single game. Kyle Lowry, like I said, coming back. He's fully rested. And then we have Siakam, even though he's not much of a GPP option. Love the Toronto Raptors, and then Golden State as well, especially without Wiggins. Toronto Rockets, yeah. Let's go ahead and go to Q&As. I'm going to go ahead in the Discord. And we'll see if we can get the 380 mark. We're gonna get close. It's gonna come down to the wire here.
Okay.
All right.
What do you got?
Cat impact question mark. Any value at the center position there, TJ?
Yeah, I mean there is. I just need to see who's starting. Whether it's going to be Ed Davis or Naz Reid. It's definitely interesting. I mean, last time we saw Cat out, which was literally last game between Portland and then Denver too, which were the two games that I was really interested in. We saw Hernan Gomez get a lot of run. A guy like Vanderbilt got a lot of run as well. So yeah, I think Jared Vanderbilt would make for a decent tournament play. He played 23 and 20 minutes against Denver and Portland and hit for 30 and 29 DraftKings points. So, I want to see if Ed Davis or not. I mean, one of them's going to start. It's just I don't know how short their leash is. Both are not very good defensively. So I think there will be some value there, but tournaments, I don't think I could see myself rostering any of them in cash. The Naz Reid price tag at 5K is not great. The Ed Davis one at 3,300 is something that I do like. I just don't know if I trust him to get the minutes.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there.
Yeah.
All right. Where could we find some value for some pay-ups? It's going to be all with the Spurs. Those are all really good pay-up options if you're looking for value. Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray. And then if you want to go to the Toronto Raptors, all those guys have really high ceilings. If you want to look up for value for pay-up options, very odd question, but I get it. But I think San Antonio benefits the most with their current injuries. Boucher GPP. What if he starts? Yes, that was actually something that we were talking about earlier in the Discord. Now, a lot of people like Boucher. TJ, what do you have to say about that?
He's so good
really well
when given the minutes.
It's a good team.
So yeah, if he starts again, I mean, he should be starting over Baines, and Alex Len is irrelevant. So we'll have to wait and see. They've monitored his minutes all last year and so far this year. So if he's going to start to play 28 to 30 minutes, like he's going to be a force, and his price is going to rise quickly, and it already has. He's already almost 6K. So, I think he could get to 7K, maybe a little higher if he can get 28 to 30 minutes consistently, because he's that good.
All right. For the Spurs, with no DeRozan, how's DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson look for GPP now? And how many Spurs are too many? I'm thinking also Lonnie Walker. Yes, we answered that question, I think, twice on the stream, Joey. So, yeah, we load up on the Spurs. I'd say more than 3 is too much in larger GPPs. If you're playing more than 3, you should not expect a ceiling game from one of those 4 or 5, however many you decide to play. That's the only thing. So you limit your upside with the more players that you play from the Spurs. How does this look for single entry GPP, TJ? Our first FanDuel lineup: DeJounte Murray, Fred VanVleet, Beasley, Vassell, Kevin Durant, Gay, Randall, Naz Reid, and Jarrett Allen. I don't mind that. There's some spots.
I like it besides those last 2.
Yeah, I was about to say Naz Reid's very scary, but he's cheap on FanDuel, $4,400, TJ, for what it's worth.
Okay. So. Yeah, I like it besides those last 2. Those first 7 guys you named, I'm on board with all of them.
Any good center options besides LaMarcus Aldridge? Very good question. There's not too many out there. Jakob Hurtl's actually down here. Al Horford, ironically, guys.
Yeah.
And then also Jokic, if you can pay up for him. Those are the only center options I'd say. What's
Dude,
up?
he's 5,500. I don't know. I think I'm blind. I thought he was 6,500.
You might be blind. Are we getting close to the number, guys? Don't get me excited.
He is so cheap.
Am I going to number watch the rest of the stream? Sorry.
Keep on.
Where are we at? 360. Oh, we went back down. I cursed it. All right. Going over another question here. Joe Harris, question mark. I think that you mean that for GPPs. TJ, you have any interest in Joe Harris?
Not really. Not with KD back.
I agree.
I mean, a guy that can get hot from 3 for sure, but not a priority. If you want to take a stab in tournament, sure. Again, I want to see that starting lineup. He came off the bench the last 2 games, so we'll have to wait and see what's going on there.
Can I stack 5 Spurs players? Yes, but make sure that's a very small GPP. Okay, if that game does shoot out like it did last night, by all means, feel free to stack those 5 Spurs. With the Spurs Minnesota game, what's up?
I was gonna say I might run 5 Spurs in my cash lineup, honestly.
With the Spurs Minnesota game having such a high over/under, do you need to come back with the Timberwolves player? If you expect it to be a shootout, yeah, sure. I think that's a great strategy. TJ, you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you come back with Malik Beasley or D'Lo if you have the ability. Those would be my 2 favorite guys.
I had a lot of Patreon questions. That's all I have, though, TJ.
Okay. Jared Culver's kind of interesting, too, at 4K. Let's see here, man. I'm going to try and go to the top. I know we probably have a bunch of people. TJ just doesn't want to admit Horford is chalk, dude. He's 5,500.
Yeah, he is good.
Cheap. Let's see. How about Rudy Gay for tournaments? Yes, I think Rudy Gay for tournaments is good. Horford or Horford? I think you got to go with Horford because Terrence Ross isn't playing tonight. Harris goes out early. Dozier smashes Slate, calling it now.
Okay.
Okay. KD is a must. Yeah, I like KD in cash. Smash that like button. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it, man. Mitchell Robinson. Tournament play, I guess, if you want. But I don't really have interest in him, honestly. Those Knicks guys are always tough to gauge. I think it's like Julius Randle's the one guy that's super consistent, obviously. I feel like RJ Barrett's kind of hit or miss. Mitch is that way. Alfred Payton's that way. It's kind of been Austin Rivers has been the second most consistent guys of late with Julius Randle, which is sad. And that's just over like the last 3 games. So I'm, box score watching. Best centers other than Jokic and Cash, Matt.
Marcus Aldridge.
Yeah, I think Aldridge. I think it's going to be really tough to get.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not higher owned just because he's the only center option.
Jokic?
Aldridge. Like that's a value anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him at 12%.
Yeah, he's at 20 for me, so still not that high.
Yeah, Jokic is carrying it. Randall's carrying some ownership a little bit. Yeah, the ownership's kind of
all
spread
over
out
the
right
place.
now. Which is,
we didn't even mention Christian Wood. He's up there too. I mean, 8. Well, he's not up there in ownership, but he's also
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's Vusel. Okay, so I've been pronouncing it wrong. Thank you, Colin. Vusel.
Why is it always the Spurs players with the weird names?
Devin Vusel, because you guys get all the.
Well, he's not foreign. I don't think he played college ball here.
Yes. Vanderbilt. Yeah, I like Vanderbilt as a tournament play with Cat out. Center is tough tonight. It is. Bring it back with Beasley. So yeah, Beasley. If you're bringing it back, if you're loading up on the Spurs, I don't hate that. What's your favorite piece for Houston versus LA game? Favorite piece for Houston versus LA. I'd probably say Harden. That would probably be my guy that I would like the best, honestly.
Nwaba?
Nawab is your favorite?
That's
Okay.
the only guy that benefits from anything. Like that's the only reason for it. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's all.
R.I.P. Bryant. Yeah, poor ACL. Celtics Heat canceled. Yes, that game is canceled. Norman Powell or Diallo? I'd say Diallo. Yeah, Diallo's been playing good.
Thoughts?
Center cash plays. Just
Sorry.
touched on that. Go ahead, Matt. Okay.
Thoughts? Question mark. This is a FanDuel lineup sent in. DeJounte Murray, Curry, Vassell, Powell, Durant, Barton, Aldridge, Boucher.
It's Vassell.
Don't right now. Come on. Vassell.
Go.
Aldridge, Boucher, Horford. There's too many contrarian plays in that. Make sure that's a big GPP. I see that's a 784 entry. Yeah, I would get closer to the chalk there. Thoughts on GPP?
Matt.
What's up?
Nope. Go.
Lowry, Murray, LeVert, Beasley, Keldon Johnson, Durant, Aldridge, Naz Reid, Horford. Kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that. Just Naz Reid, but I mean, if he starts, then yeah, I don't hate that.
Yeah, if Naz Reid starts and gets minutes,
yeah.
he's very productive on offense. He just sucks at defense. So
yes.
Would you be okay with Randall and Cash at center since it's so gross? Yeah, I'm fine with Randall. He gets a ton of minutes.
It is gross.
Yeah. How would you feel about Jarrett Allen at center? All right, we're starting to get questions on the centers. We're going to have to talk about this, TJ. Jarrett Allen isn't that bad of an option, but again, it's the minutes that scare me. If you're going to be playing a center, I think Jokic, Aldridge, safe. Randall's going to be relatively safe because of the minutes. TJ, what are your thoughts overall on the center position? Mitchell Robinson plays center too.
Yeah, he does, Matt. Jokic and Randall are my two spend ups. I think Horford and Aldridge are going to be my two spend downs if you're looking for some value. And I mean, you can throw Draymond there. If Wiggins is out, that only helps Draymond. So I think those are 5 guys you can target in cash. I think my favorite's probably Aldridge. As much as I'd love to get up for Jokic or Julius Randle, I just don't see it being viable tonight.
Yeah,
the way that I'm conducting my lineup.
I agree with that completely. Advice for my cash lineup, but this is our first cash lineup sent, TJ. DeJounte Murray, Walker, Keldon Johnson, Kevin Durant, Jokic, Terrence Davis, Vassell, don't care. Oubre. I don't like Terrence Davis and Oubre. Those are the only two I don't like. Well, Oubre's relatively chalky.
Yeah, I like
Terrence Davis. I feel like you can. He's $3,700. I feel like you can pay.
You got Lowry back. I mean, I don't think Terrence Davis is really going to be too crazy in the rotation. So I would look elsewhere there. I mean, if you're looking for, was that DK or FanDuel? I don't even know if
that was Draftkings.
Okay. So if you're looking for like a cheaper guard that is going to see minutes, he's 3,700, right? I'd rather go to like, Nawaba as a guard eligibility, Matt. Theo Maledon for OKC, I think is going to get you, more production. And then a guy like Wanamaker coming off the bench for Golden State. I think I'd rather go that way because I really don't think Terrence Davis plays anything, honestly.
Yeah. All right. I have no more questions, TJ. We have 3 minutes left. Do you want to fire through some questions and then we'll go ahead and get off?
Yeah. Eric Pascal or Draymond? I'd say Draymond, but I want to see what's going on with Wiggins, obviously. Ben McLemore from Houston, tournament play. Jakob Poeltl, Matt, for tournaments?
No.
Yeah, sure. I guess if you want, but I'm not. Yeah, Matt, I agree with you because I was thinking Aldridge is out. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it. What about Eric Gordon, right? Right. Past Jokic unless you have fire value, for sure. I agree with that, Slothy. Horford versus Robinson. I think Horford. That's my personal opinion. Diallo for FanDuel. Yeah, I don't know Diallo's pricing on FanDuel. 4,200 on DraftKings, so I don't hate it. He's very productive when he's on the floor. So yeah, I don't hate him. I do feel bad. I want to look at Eric Gordon 6K at 2,600. Yeah, not for me. Paul Millsap at center.
No.
Yeah, not tonight. No. Millsap just doesn't
minutes.
Yeah, he just doesn't get the minutes. He just doesn't get them. So I'm okay with Millsap. Patty Mills in tournaments for sure. Yes. Cool with Curry. Yeah, I like Steph. A lot of us talk tournaments. Yeah, I feel you, man. A lot of people do talk tournaments, but we like to cover the cash plays too, just in case. Gary Harris just never does it for me, ever. So I'm all set on Gary Harris, regardless of his price tag. Now we got a small entry GP. I know you kind of like Gary Harris, right?
He's hit or miss. He just gets so many minutes. He's just like PJ Tucker in that regard. Like they're strictly just shooters. So,
thoughts on small entry GPP on DK? We got DeJounte Murray, Beasley, Levert, Vassell, Boucher, Chioza, Durant, SGA. I kind of like Levert more than SGA, but SGA has been playing well. Chioza scares me just because I don't know what his minutes are going to be like, even with Kyrie off the floor. If he can get 15 minutes, I think he can get you, 10 to 15 DraftKings points, which, you want him to hit 15, but I think if he gets you 12 or 15, I think you're okay. So I don't hate it.
Chioza scares me so much.
Yeah, Chioza scares me, and I'm a little hesitant on SGA, but he's been playing really good. Cheap center options on DK, sub 4K.
Somebody from Greece in here? That's awesome, Matt. Thanks, man.
I don't think there are really any value centers. DeAndre Jordan, I guess, off the bench at 3,900. I don't hate him, I guess. Ed Davis would probably be my favorite, guys, if he's going to get minutes.
Yeah, Davis probably is mine too.
It's so hit or miss with those Timberwolves big, especially with capping out. Fred VanVleet or John Wall? I like VanVleet.
I like VanVleet as well.
Who has higher upside? I think VanVleet.
Just hit 5'10", TJ, FYI.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We had slate breaking injury news come in with there actually being a canceled game. We were all ready to board the train for Boston, but now we're on the Spurs. So if you guys want to win some money tonight, I do advise playing some Spurs, whether it be in GPPs or cash. No more than 3 and bigger GPPs for the Spurs. If you guys want to win some tourneys, load up on the Spurs in some smaller tournaments. Any last thoughts, DJ?
No. Monitor that Wiggins news just in case.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that brings some decent value in that late game. And yeah, good luck tonight and try to find that value where you can. I think that's important tonight.
Absolutely. And I will also be posting my final update on Patreon. If you guys want to sign up for Patreon, $20 a month gets you access to all of our favorite leverage plays, cash plays for every single sport. With all that being said, guys, have a great rest of your weekend and let's cash. See you Monday.
Good luck, guys.